Well, parents ought to be involved in their children's
Yes, they
education. Their children are in school 7 hours. That's a very formative period. And I think parents ought to have a say. We used to have parent-teacher conferences. We used to have PTAs. There are lots of ways for parents to be involved, and they should be. But if I could take a moment to talk about the whole issue of critical race theory and what is and is not being taught. I come out of an academic institution, and this is something that academics debate, what is the role of race and so forth. And let me be very clear. I grew up in segregated Birmingham, Alabama. I couldn't go to a movie theater or to a restaurant with my parents. I went to segregated schools till we moved to Denver. My parents never thought I was going to grow up in a world without prejudice, but they also told me that's somebody else's problem, not yours. You're going to overcome it, and you are going to be anything you want to be. And that's the message that I think we ought to be sending to kids. One of the worries that I have about the way that we're talking about race is that it either seems so big that somehow white people now have to feel guilty for everything that happened in the past. I don't think that's very productive. Or black people have to feel disempowered by race. I would like black kids to be completely empowered, to know that they are beautiful in their blackness, but in order to do that, I don't have to make white kids feel bad for being white. So somehow this is a conversation that has gone in the wrong direction.
Repeat that last part. You don't
Even Joy's confused.
have to what?
Yeah, you know, there's a little bit of it in order for black kids who, quite frankly, for a long time, the way they were portrayed, the way their history was portrayed,
Right.
it was second-class citizenship.
Of course.
But I don't have to make white children feel bad about being white in order to overcome the fact that black children were
How does that
How do you
happen?
think? Well,
It
I have a
happens.
Look at her face. She is so confused right now.
Well, but again, if you have a teacher, history is going to be taught.
Yeah, absolutely,
History is
and it
going to
should
be
be
taught.
taught.
And as we were talking earlier, you know, when you go to Texas, you talk to Mexican kids who feel like crap because they're being told they're less than because of the Alamo. The whole idea of teaching history is so we don't repeat it. So I think that if you're a good teacher, you don't teach to make a white kid feel bad. You're supposed to say, listen, you didn't do any of this, but you should know what happened.
I have
and make sure, along with black kids and Native American kids and all the colors that be in school.
I have no problem with letting people know what happened.
Yes.
But let's remember, history is complex. Right?
It is.
Human beings aren't angels now, and they weren't angels in the past.
No.
And so how we teach about our history is also important.
But you have to, there's no way to hide the fact that white people owned black people. There's no way to hide that.
And I think that's been the issue, that there's been this sort of rollback of history. People want to hide history.
Oh, I don't.
And,
Come
well,
now.
yes, that is true.
Got 45 seconds, guys.
And what we are seeing is this rollback of history. Parents don't want children to hear about the real history. And when we teach children about the real history, I think that is when we will really have true racial reconciliation.
People are being taught the true history, but I just have to say one more thing. It goes back to how we teach the history.
That's what I'm saying.
We teach the good and we teach the bad of history.
Yep,
But what we don't do is make 7- and 10-year-olds feel that they are somehow bad people because of the color of their skin. We've been through that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we don't need to do that again.
We don't want
for
anybody
anyone.
to feel that.
Precisely.
That's the idea.
That doesn't seem to be part of the plan.
Oh, it is part of the plan.
I mean,
I'm
you know,
sorry.
in Germany, they teach the Holocaust to every student.
Of course.
I met a German
And
girl
we
one
teach
time.
slavery to
and
every student.
A school trip is a trip to Auschwitz or Dachau.
Yes.
They learn about their history, and there is not two sides to the story.
We all have to learn about our history, but we
Yes.
also have to recognize that we have to live together.
You see what I mean? Being black isn't just, it's more than the skin, it's inside as well. And yeah, black people can have different opinions, but you got somebody here that's worried about how other races of children feel when you teach the true history. But black children have been taught nothing but slavery for a long time in education, and we know that has had very traumatic effect on the lives of black children. They don't get to see a lot of images. They don't get to see things that they can be proud of and whatnot. That's just crazy. And you see how people think because they went to school and they can call themselves an academic person and they're a scholar. They think that they are so wise. But just because you have a title on your name doesn't mean that you have any kind of sense at all. You just was able to go somewhere and get a degree because you knew how to study. But that doesn't mean that you actually retained and actually expanded your mind to learn the real truth. And Condoleezza Rice is definitely a mammy. And with all her education, I wanted her to be somebody that we could be proud of. Yeah, we could be proud of the accomplishment she made, but her views are very twisted. How can you be a black woman and say the things that you say? That's why I say, at this point, I don't even care about accepting everybody as black that has brown skin, because being black is more than just skin deep.